Hello and welcome to Memento Malum. A few months back, I teased the release of a new book that I was writing. If you're watching this right now, that book has just been released. And the link to the book on Amazon will be in the description box below. This video will act as a promotional piece and a quick overview of the structure of the book. The book consists of 9 chapters, a preface, an appendix, and the reference list. The preface consists of a series of terms that are common within agriculture and horticultural circles, as well as science circles, in regards to horticulture and agricultural sciences. The preface will also list a series of acknowledgements on those who helped me out with the book. The book will cover apples, apricots, cherries, grapes, pears, peaches, and plums, within a plant breeding and historical context. The first 2 chapters will consist of the domestication of the previously mentioned crops, and how plant breeding changed the populations and the nature of the cultivars over time. That will be Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 respectively. A species of pear utilized in the domestication process of Asian pears, as well as a portion of the breeding process after the domestication process can be seen on screen right now. The first 2 chapters will be the most dense amongst the chapters, and as such will take up the bulk of the book. Chapter 3 will cover a brief history of plants, or more specifically, the aforementioned trees within the framework of artistic expression via paintings and sculptures. This chapter will be moderate in size. Chapter 4 will consist of the common diseases of these aforementioned fruit tree species, specifically diseases that can be controlled by genetic resistance. This chapter will be likewise moderately sized. Chapter 5 will cover how to bring this all together to create an amateur breeding program utilizing the cultivars found within Canada. There is a smaller number of available heirloom cultivars within Canada, and a smaller number of nurseries that specialize in heirloom cultivars in comparison to the United States and Europe. But if you can do a breeding program here, you can do it anywhere. This chapter will cover recommended cultivars and how to breed a new variety, bringing together all the elements found both in this chapter and the previous ones. Chapter 6 will list out the common rootstocks of the different fruit trees we will be covering. The strengths and weaknesses and origin of each individual cultivar will be listed on this chapter. It will, however, be a very short chapter by nature. Chapter 7 will be on the topic of cider apples and pears, which are apple and pear cultivars utilized to make alcoholic beverages. The primary purpose is to list out the cultivars that seem to have resistance to one or more diseases. This will be the shortest chapter. Chapter 8 will be on homesteading and backyard gardening. This will be less scientific and will draw more so from my general experience with certain trees. A decent chunk of the chapter will be devoted to a list of apple reviews, listing out the different apples I've eaten and how they taste. The last page on that chapter will be a chart listing a series of known cultivars, what diseases they're resistant to, and some other traits that I've either noticed or have been told about. The last chapter is chapter 9. It will be called Conclusions. It is basically a Cliff Notes style overview of all the key elements of the book, and a small number of extra pieces of information, as well as a few take-home messages. After chapter 9, there will be an appendix. Within this book, there's a few pieces of information that I wanted to put in there, but it would break up the flow of the book. So I placed all that information into the appendix. And after the appendix is the reference section, which will list out every single reference, both academic and otherwise, that I've used in writing this book. And that's all the details for this book. Thank you for watching.